So today's video we're going to be looking at how tilapia, the story of tilapia, the practice of keeping tilapia as as a passive income at a backyard has become such a common practice right now in Jamaica, right? It's like the end of the gatekeeping era in tilapia keeping in Jamaica. All right, so let's get into the video. Okay, so the question is asked, for decades, tilapia farming in Jamaica was treated like a state secret. Why was it that only a few had the magic to grow these fish, while the average person was told it was too difficult or too expensive? Now, I can recall doing a piece on Danny Bunting tilapia fish farm, and having the conversation with him, he mentioned something, right? And he further shared that, listen, I can't disclose certain things because the other, like he would say, that the other bodies that actually does tilapia would not be pleased that I am actually sharing this with you. All right, so that was left out of the video. During the early 70s, tilapia farming became a thing in Jamaica, right? It became a thing wherein which only the persons who had funds, who had money, were able to venture within this venture, right? The idea of discouraging other individuals from becoming a part of the industry was common, right? It was like gatekeeping the industry for only a set of individuals, right? It's interesting that it was shared that, well, in a particular quarter, it was shared that only persons with the technical knowledge of aquaculture and having the resources of employing individuals for like consultative work, and the consultative part would consist of millions of dollars, would actually be successful in tilapia fish farming, right? It was considered too expensive for the common man. The backyard or the small tilapia fish farmer idea was of a no, right? In a sense, you could say that the reason of tilapia in your backyard or as a small farmer, in totes and vats, was it was against the polarized situation that existed then. Only certain persons were encouraged within that space. Imagine, well, I am proud to have the conversation with Mr. Bunting. I feel good that he opened up to me and shared with me tilapia fish farming in Jamaica, right? But I still have to talk about the gatekeeping process, right? And he is more willing, in comparative to others, to share on the on the market, on the process of tilapia fish farming than anyone in which I've come across, right? Now, the polarization movement was finally tore down. I think this was done rapidly during the COVID-19 era. However, before that, you had small tilapia fish farmers. However, but it was not as popular as now, right? The current era where background ponds are popping up across the island, turning ordinary citizens into food producers, that was not something like, say, in the 90s or in the 80s, like that, right? I am amazed at how this industry existed, and I myself find myself so interested in fish keeping, fish farming, and I was not privy to the information that about tilapia fish farming. Now there's a myth of complexity, right? Wherein which the tilapia fish farmer in Jamaica would require high technology, high tech, expensive technology, so as to have massive harvest, production, good we call it now, good quality tilapia fish, right? Now it was thought that if you have a massive concrete infrastructure, expensive imported aerator, a degree in marine biology, or some amount of studies, you were made to feel you couldn't succeed. As I talk about succeed, you're talking about the quality of tilapia fish that was like a rarity. And to some extent, I would say that although gatekeeping of tilapia farming has actually, the gate is actually open, but to some extent there is there are evidence in which individuals within the larger industry is trying to close back the gate, but it's just too difficult. It's very difficult, guys, for you to access tilapia fish feed, right? The one in which commercial farmers actually, what do you call it now, use to feed their fish stock. In an effort to assist, Hyprofeed have done a great deal in creating and manufacturing a type of tilapia feed, although the quality is poor, but it's an attempt, right? And the measure in which you need so as to get the extruded high quality, high protein imported tilapia fish feed is really expensive. So you would say that the importation of the feed is expensive and it's not really readily available in Jamaica. So to some extent you would say that the regulation of the industry is somewhat being manipulated by government entities and organizations, right? There is also, what you call it, a consultant barrier. I made mention of it earlier in the video. For years, if you wanted to start a farm, you were told you needed to hire expensive consultant. This created a financial wall that the average Jamaican farmer could not climb, right? Information scarcity. And before I go to information scarcity, you have this thing we call seed selection, right? Now the seed selection refers to the quality of tilapia feed in which you have on your tilapia fish farm. In addition to the seed selection, you have the issue of having a choice as to whether or not you want mixed stock tilapia fish farming. Now there's a rationale behind having monosex tilapia fish farming. However, the availability of mixed stock from our local agencies and authorities that oversee agriculture within Jamaica is somewhat limited. When you actually purchase the tilapia seed stock or the tilapia fingerlings, you have received I call it monosex tilapia. So you're gonna always have to come back, always have to revisit the offices so as to get some amount. In addition, you have persons, and I've said this already in an interview in late 2025, right? That you have persons, they are so much trying to regulate the industry as to who comes in, that whenever and it's a collaborative approach, when I say collaborative attempt with individuals within RADA itself, where which you have one person would actually come to RADA and would purchase 10,000 fingerlings. Right? You know, he or she would have a large commercial farm. Right? That means he or she would have the ability to import seed stock and to have supplies of fingerlings his or her way whenever he or she desire. But the rationale behind this is that whenever that individual would purchase 10,000 fingerlings, let's say that you purchase 10,000 fingerlings from your other office in Spanish Town, right? Individuals like myself, or probably persons that are wanting to start, would go and would want to probably 100 or 200 fingerlings. They would be told that as soon as the fingerlings are available, they will contact them, and that contact will have to be one in which you every day you'll be calling to ask whether or not fingerlings are available, because fingerlings are just difficult to get at times. The only time they will be able to sell your fingerlings if you actually visit the office at the time when they have harvested the fingerlings from the large ponds and placed them inside, and then now you would be able to get probably a few. But if you are late, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 persons coming in and buy 10,000, 4,000, 5,000 tilapia, and you find that you don't have any. So in a sense, to me, that's a means of gatekeeping. Specific individuals always been purchasing large amount of tilapia fingerlings so as to manage how much actually go out in the public. So persons like myself and individuals like Leon would be able to fill that gap. But I can't fill that gap in its entirety, because if I do put on my Instagram page that, listen, I have 500 fingerlings on Sunday, right? If I do put all that on Sunday, I have 500 fingerlings on Sunday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, all those 500 fingerlings are sold. Right? And I'm not talking about selling all the 500 to one person. I'm talking about several individuals coming by and purchasing fish. And once you purchase tilapia fingerlings from me, you never return, because if you keep them properly, you'll be able to keep them in such a way that they reproduce and you're always having stock, because you separate the brood stock and you do the necessary work to ensure that you have a continuation of the process, right? But there is still some amount of gatekeeping in tilapia fish farming in Jamaica. Now you have restricted access to stock. In discussing restricted access to stock, in talking about being a part of a network, being similar to what I shared with you before. You had in Jamaica, you have roughly about 5 or 6 large tilapia fish farm. Right, Dan Bountin, I think, is one of the larger ones. Right, Dan Bountin has on his farm, he has 300. Last time I had a conversation with him, which was about 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 years ago, 4 years ago. Right, he shared that he had 371 fish ponds. 371 fish ponds. No, he had 74 acres, right? And he had, I think he saw 70 something ponds, and he was in the process of building additional ponds, right? The thing is that with the restricted access to good seed stock, you're going to find that a lot of persons will start their tilapia fish farm and it won't be successful, because the quality of of stock in which they do get is not there. I have been trying for years. I have been in this tilapia thing for 4.5 to 5 years, right? And I have been trying for years to get some amount of Rocky Mountain White within my stock. And guys, they are available in the wild, meaning that you have some amount that's in the wild, but I can't catch them, right? Because they're the color of them, it's kind of different from the red ones. So you have to really like it. It's just so difficult to catch them. The red ones will, the color alone will actually help you to catch them. But if you should go to, let's say, rather office and tell them that you want some amount of Rocky Mountain White, you will practically not get it, right? So you still have some amount of restricted access to some quality stock, right? Whenever small farmers try to replenish their stock, at times you find that it's difficult. In addition, small farmers are told that their professional equipment is not good enough, and that they need more knowledge so as to enter into the industry. And this is something that is being discouraged by the government. The government have opened up what do you call it now? A course in tilapia fish farming. I think it's somewhere in Clarendon. I don't remember the name of the Hart School, where in which they actually do specific course, a specific course on tilapia farming, and the dynamics as to practically everything that I do on my channel regarding tilapia. They do that there. All right, so in tilapia fish farming, you have some language and some jargons that I use, right? And persons, in a means of discouraging individuals from entering into the tilapia industry, have been, throwing these academic terms and scientific, processes around that would more than likely discourage backyard hobbyists from entering into the hobby or the business, right? And when you keep on hearing some scientific term that you can hardly pronounce and you can hardly share in a discussion, you're discouraged from actually entering into that space, right? So the gatekeeping is still there. I think the gate is not totally closed, but it's not totally open, right? Now, throughout the years, there have been what I refer to as digital transparency, in the sense that channels like myself and others internationally have been able to boast several, videos that technically that shows you the technicality in keeping tilapia fish, right, in the back of the yard. Persons have followed my channel, and I'm not boasting, but I'm just sharing what's out there, right? Persons have actually followed my channel and have used several hacks, routines, and they have learned of other individuals' mistakes, and they have been able to use low cost hacks to quantify the mystery of tilapia fish farming, and as a result of that, persons have become masters of tilapia fish farming, and they have find a way to manage their stock so that their stock is healthy and producing, and they are able to earn monies from it. Now, there is what you call peer-to-peer learning. Now, I have been able to assist individuals to start up a tilapia farm, right? Several individuals I have actually aided in help, and it's of no fee, guys. The only thing is that they purchase some tilapia from me, and I love my fish, so therefore I would want my fish to be in a space where in which it actually thrive, right? So I use my anecdotals, my experience, instead of textbooks, and help individuals, you can call them my neighbors, so as to be innovative and be able to start their own tilapia fish farm. Right now, there have been frugal innovation, the rise of repurposed materials such as IBC totes, and like water tanks that have leakings or is considered not good anymore by certain companies. Persons use it and transform it into vat, and with several of these using 55-gallon drum cut, old fridge, bad pan, whatever. Persons have actually used these and innovatively transform their backyard space, regardless of how small it is, to what you refer to as a thriving passive income. The whole idea of polarization, as I shared with you before, it's gradually receding, but to me it's kind of there still. The tilapia fish farming is a niche, right? And it's gradually becoming normality, and I like to open new ventures. So chances are I will probably close this chapter in tilapia venture, while other individuals proceed, explore, be innovative, frugal, and chant a space out there for fish farmers, right? I'm not leaving, but the intensity in which I would like share certain things. Information is now available for persons to normalize how they set up, and the impact on the food security, I believe is there. Every backyard pond is referred to as a possibility, and the whole security aspect, that's a reality, and persons are now becoming more cognizant of that. Now, I encourage you, if you have not yet considered becoming a participant in tilapia fish farming, you can try. There's nothing be a trial but a failure, and you can try and try and try again. I have several videos published within my channel that looks at tilapia fish farming, and one of the first areas in which I advise you to look at is Tilapia Classroom, where I delved deeply in how to start a tilapia fish farm, and it looks at all the complexities, all the necessary species that you need to consider when considering tilapia fish farming. And it also looks at different dimensions. I even take you to other species, right? Share with you, the plan. Now, this video was not intended to be long, guys. To be frank, this video was intended to be about between 10 to 12 minutes long, right? I see where in it is going over, probably double, right? But I think that I shared value with you, and yeah, the gatekeeping of tilapia fish farming in Jamaica is practically widening. I mean, in the sense that widening open. It's not fully left open, but you have some spaces they want it to be closed because it's hampering their business. Instead of selling 50,000 kilogram of tilapia per week, now persons are selling like probably about 35, because the competition with small farmers is something to reckon with. Peace out, guys. Catch you next time. Bye bye. Nice talking to you.